ABC's Wide World of Sports continues with the International Race of Champions.
12 of the finest drivers in the world are awaiting their final introductions before they strap in for round 2 of the International Race of Champions. And they all know, just like Mark Martin, the defending champion of the IROC, that the key here is to get in front, lead, and score points. Second round of the True Value Firebird International Race of Champions from California Speedway in Fontana. Now, let's send you to Benny Parsons.
The IROC Series is like a single-car racing team. That team never stops working to make their car as good as possible. The IROC team, the same way. They work 12 months a year to make these cars as even as possible. And the good news, they've succeeded. The bad news for the drivers, they've succeeded. Because the cars are so even, it's going to be difficult to pass, but not impossible, and it will be exciting. We'll see 3 cars team up to pass that 1 car. We'll see different lines all the way around the racetrack. Jeff Gordon has to start 12th because he won the race in Daytona. You know he's nervous about trying to pass 11 cars, but the first time he goes down in turn 1, he turns that steering wheel. If that Pontiac responds, that's like saying to Jeff Gordon, we can do this. Jack Root, a lot of changes on these Pontiacs since last year.
Benny, these cars have a track history at California Speedway now. They've got a race last year, 100 miles, 3 days of practice and testing back in November. And then, of course, preparation for today's race. But there's several new things with the cars as well. A new front nose, also new carburetors. And for the first time, they'll be using the same tires that the Winston Cup teams use here at California Speedway. Now, what does that mean? Well, the separation between the fastest and the slowest car in the field is only 0.3 of 1 second. That means the drivers will have to adjust their style to the individual car's personality if they hope to go to victory lane. You also told us about why Jeff Gordon is starting 12th. Well, the reason for Randy LaJoie and Tommy Kendall to fill the front row, guys, is because of a crash in round 1 at Daytona.
As Tom Kendall came off turn 4, we see him squeeze up into Al Unser Jr. They go up and hit Randy LaJoie. LaJoie in the blue car, and Kendall, heavy contact with the wall. Al Unser Jr. able to get by. As we watch the onboard camera, you'll see how close this was to a huge crash. Luckily, only 2 cars involved. But Paul, their misfortunes at Daytona could be their fortune in California.
The rules of the International Race of Champions dictate that this, the second round, sees the cars lined up in the reverse order of how they finished in round 1 at Daytona. So as a result, Tom Kendall is on the pole, but the car numbers denote their positions in the points fight. And you may remember that Tom Kendall led some laps at Daytona, so he carries the number of 11 on the car, despite the fact that he is going to start on the pole. And the man on the outside of the front row, Randy LaJoie from the Busch Grand National Series, has the number 12. Back in the second row, Jimmy Vasser representing CART in the medium blue number 10, and Tony Stewart of the Indy Racing League in the rose number 9. In row 3, Al Unser Jr., the bright orange number 8, and Terry Labonte from the NASCAR Winston Cup Series in the lime number 7. The fourth row, Dale Jarrett from NASCAR, the silver number 6, and Ari Leyendyk from the IRL in the light blue number 5. In the fifth row, Dale Earnhardt from NASCAR, the green number 4, and Mark Martin, our defending IROC champion, in the white number 3. And in the sixth and final row, Jeff Burton from the Winston Cup Series in the purple number 2, and Jeff Gordon from NASCAR Winston Cup, the red number 1. The onboard cameras for this run start with Tony Stewart. He'll be in the second row. There's the first row just ahead of him. Dale Jarrett a little further back in the field. And last but not least, Jeff Gordon. Green flag, here we go. Round number 2 of the IROC. Well, we've seen this many times before. No change in the front row. Looks like they're on the pace lap once again. Believe me, they are racing.
Building up speed at the end of this backstretch. Will be turning the maximum speed these Firebirds will turn. The guys on the inside, Kendall, Vasser, trying their best to team up to work toward the front.
Al Unser Jr. pulls in behind that light blue car of Jimmy Vassar. Vassar bobbles it for a bit. He goes high, goes a little higher, gets it back under control. Vassar almost in trouble there at one point. Field now sorts out as they come to the end of the first lap. And it'll be Randy LaJoie that leads the field down, followed by Tony Stewart and then Tommy Kendall.
Challenge to the inside as Al Unser tries to look on the inside of Kendall. Can't make it. See Terry Labonte back in fifth spot. The lime green Firebird.
On board, Tony Stewart.
Second place car down the backstretch. Trying to close up on Randy LaJoie.
Real questions about to be answered. How much of the work that they have done here will make a difference in terms of aerodynamics on these cars and how they will handle it.
Here comes Labonte on the inside of Kendall. On board with Jeff Gordon. Started back in 12th spot.
Started back in 12th, but has been able to move up to 8th right now. And, of course, he's the one to watch. He leads the points fight at this moment. That's Mark Martin in the white car just ahead of him.
Mark Martin, the defending champion of this series. And Tommy Kendall caught on the outside, losing another spot to Mark Martin. And battle for the lead. Tony Stewart trying to take it away from Randy LaJoie.
Stewart sticks his nose just ahead of LaJoie. LaJoie up high in the more favorable line. They'll head into the corner that way. Side by side, too wide through the corner. Stewart now uses the track down low. It's working for him.
And here comes LaJoie back on the outside. At the line. It will be LaJoie that fights back.
So Randy LaJoie continues to lead. Then Stewart, and then Al Unser Jr. and Terry Labonte. They go back to single file in one. That pretty much, Benny, I think answers the question of how the aerodynamics work. If they can go side by side that way, I think they've done a good job. Look at this. Al Unser Jr. as they go 3 wide into 3.
And Labonte's trying to figure out which one of these guys do I follow. Al Unser Jr. goes from 3rd to 1st. Tony Stewart trying to follow Al Unser Jr. for that 2nd spot. But meanwhile, LaJoie trying back on the outside.
And you got a glimpse, too, of that red car. It belongs to Jeff Gordon, and he is now up, beginning to battle with the leaders at the front. LaJoie high on Stewart as Unser Jr. leads the lap across. See Jeff Gordon there, that red car. He's now already from last position and up battling with the lead pack. Open wheelers lead it at Fontana.
The International Race of Champions on ABC Sports. Brought to you by the legendary Firebird Trans Am from Pontiac. AC Delco Automotive Parts. AC Delco. If you're not asking for it, you're asking for it. And True Value Paint. Great paint from a great store.
Back at California Speedway, Jeff Gordon now trying to make his move to get to the front of the field. He's down working the low line.
And Randy LaJoie the last time got the car loose, and Firebird got loose in 1 and 2. Gordon able to get by. Also, Labonte was able to get by. Mark Martin goes by. LaJoie lost 3 spots in less than 1 lap.
Gordon sits in 3rd now. Unser, Stewart, Gordon. Boy, what a battle at the front. 3 different series represented. Part, the IRL, and the Winston Cup Series.
Jeff Gordon diving down to the inside of Tony Stewart. Takes away the 2nd spot from 12th to 2nd.
And now Labonte decides to hang back on that one and hook up more with Stewart than he has with Jeff Gordon.
Labonte pulls up behind Stewart, gets close enough to Tony Stewart. Back of the car got a little loose. He had to back off. When he did that, Labonte tries to go by.
Riding with Stewart up on the high side. There goes Labonte past him. Now Mark Martin, the white car, comes into that fight as well. Two-time champion. Mark understands as clear as everyone out there that leading laps is almost as important as winning races. That's where the bonus points come, and that's where the championships have recently been determined.
Mark Martin takes over that spot from Tony Stewart. Oh, what a spin!
Tommy Kendall gets in trouble. Can he hold on to it? Oh, he just gets clipped as Ari Lyondike comes through. And also spinning is Jeff Burton. So our first yellow, and remember, yellows do not count in the International Race of Champions. I thought he saved it there for a minute, Benny.
And just slight damage on the left front, but there's also damage to the rear of another car as he hit Kendall going by.
There's Burton. Look for damage there. I didn't think he got touched at all as he went high.
I think he spun just around the corner.
But we've got serious damage to the left front. The other car in question, of course, will be Lyondike, because it did look like Lyondike got touched as they came through.
And Lyondike is going down pit road as we speak for the attention of the IROC teams.
And Tommy Kendall will head in with some very serious damage. So we've seen worse than this in the IROC, and they tape it up, and that IROC group gets them back out and gets them into action. Jeff Burton also came onto pit road. The focus shifts to the pits. Here's Jack.
It's fairly evident that Ari Lyondike's damage is on the right-hand side. The team is going to work, and Lyondike will exchange right side tires, and they'll go back out.
So with this caution, Unser Jr. takes the lead. Now you ride with Dale Jarrett. See the green car ahead? That's Tommy Kendall. And it gets sideways, and that sets off the chain reaction.
Brakes, don't fail me now. Did you see the piece of debris go over his car?
And it looked to me like Ari chose exactly the wrong line. Went to the inside when the high side was going to clear up. I've never seen a spin or almost spin last quite that wrong. He almost had it saved.
There we see Kendall. When Tony Stewart comes down, Kendall tried to turn away to keep him spinning from hitting Tony Stewart. When he did that, he spun himself out. When he jerked the wheel to the left, it spun the car out.
Look at that. He's sitting at full opposite lock trying to save it. Ari comes through, and that's when he catches the real damage on the left front.
And we see why the Jeff Burton spun out. A car ran in the back of him and spun as he was trying to avoid the spinning car.
For Tommy Kendall, they've gotten out the fine adjustment tools. Here's Jack.
You can see the damage substantially to the front end of Tommy Kendall's car. The fiberglass has been ripped away, and the IROC crew does go to work. Let's see if we can get a word with Tommy Kendall and find out his version of what happened. Tommy, what happened out there?
Say again?
What happened out there?
I got underneath Tony and wasn't all the way up there. He didn't see me, and without the spotter, he had no way of knowing I was there. Came down. I tried to get back out, but it tagged him, and I was trying to cut it down to keep away from him, and then I spun, and a couple of cars got into me.
Under the caution, open-wheeler Al Unser Jr. leads it, but the stock car guys are closing in. We'll be back. Saturday at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific on ABC Sports, our live World Cup coverage begins with the Netherlands versus Belgium. We're still under yellow at California Speedway. Now, the trick to getting all of that horsepower down to the surface of the track so that you can go fast is done through the contact patch of the tire, but it isn't quite that simple. Here's Jack Arute with our Mechanics of Racing.
You know, at first blush, when you look at the surface area of a race tire, you think, wow, that's a lot of area and rubber to the road. But in reality, the actual rubber that meets the road is no bigger than this contact patch. In fact, the overall area for all four tires is no bigger than this rag. So in order to optimize this contact patch, you have to introduce specific springs and shock absorbers. Now, each spring is distributed directly over the individual wheel, and it is weighted in such a way that the 3,000 pounds of the race car can be distributed based upon the racetrack. But in order to control the travel of the spring, you have to introduce a shock absorber. Now, the shock absorber then has a controlled up and down movement for the spring. The optimum performance is chosen by the track configuration and the race car's handling characteristics. When you get the right combination of shock and spring, you optimize the contact patch.
Here's the situation that set up this yellow.
Going in turn one, Tony Stewart on the outside, the pink car. He comes down, Tommy Kendall to avoid, and we see Stewart gets a tap, but not enough to spin it. Kendall, trying to keep away from Stewart, jerks the car to the left, spins himself out. The other cars get by, and Jeff Burton just slams on the brake. Jimmy Vassar runs in the back of him. He spins, and meanwhile, Ari Lyondike goes down and just touches the left front of Kendall's car with the right rear of his car. And there's Al Unser Jr., our leader. Jeff Gordon's in second spot. Terry Labonte is a third place car. Mark Martin is fourth.
So as we're ready to come back to the green flag, Al Unser Jr., that orange car, and then 3 out of the Winston Cup Series, Gordon, Labonte, and Mark Martin. Then comes Tony Stewart, and Tom Kendall is listed up in there. And the reason, of course, is that under the yellow, the laps do not count. Here we go, green flag, single file back, thundering now into turn 1. And look at the first 4 begin to pull away. Tony Stewart leads that second group. Al Unser Jr. always good on a start.
And here we see Labonte come off, gets a good run on Jeff Gordon, but still can't do anything. Mark Martin back in 4th spot. And there we see Stewart trying to break away from Randy LaJoie.
Stewart's able to drive up without much assistance of the draft off of Mark Martin's car. You ride now with Jeff Gordon. There's the leader, Al Unser Jr., just ahead.
And here comes Jeff, closing up right on the back bumper. He's going to try to the outside. Got a great run. He will take the lead off the corner.
So Jeff Gordon, for the first time today, takes the lead, joining the list that includes Al Unser Jr. and Randy LaJoie. But Unser Jr. comes back at him. Labonte sits, watches, splits the middle. Mark Martin, the white car, sits back and forth. Unser Jr. holds it off the corner. Now here comes Jeff Gordon. Car slowing down on the inside.
That was Tommy Kendall that just left the pits. A lap to go.
Al Unser Jr. continues to hold it. Gordon working a much higher line. Now they come off of 4. This is where Gordon got him last lap.
And look, here comes Mark Martin on the inside. They're going to try to make it 3 abreast or 4. Who knows how many wide it's going to be.
Well, at least 4 as Mark Martin comes up into second. Then Labonte begins to challenge him for second as Jeff Gordon takes the lead. Now Stewart. Stewart comes back on Labonte.
And Randy LaJoie. Oh, LaJoie gets the car pushing. Almost runs in the wall. And that gold car, but here comes Unser back on the inside. 3 abreast going in turn 3.
Unser Jr. runs very close to the white line as he comes around Tony Stewart. Looking for room on the inside. Stewart gets cut off by LaJoie.
And
here comes Dale.
Earnhardt on the outside of Tony Stewart. Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin. Meanwhile, 3rd being contested between Al Unser Jr., Terry Labonte, Randy LaJoie, Dale Earnhardt.
Now coming into that fight, Jeff Burton as well, who in the early going had the fastest laps of this run. Al Unser Jr. makes the challenge now, moves to the inside. Randy LaJoie comes with him. As they move around Terry Labonte, Labonte shuts the door on LaJoie.
Two distinct grooves open up at the California Speedway. Last year the groove was a little narrow. This year not the case.
Earnhardt may be trying to make a new one way down there. In a dark green car.
He gets the spot.
Now green and green. Earnhardt, Labonte, lime green on the high side. Labonte challenges Dale Earnhardt. Gordon, Martin, Al Unser Jr. sit in front.
Maybe I'll make it 3 wide. Meanwhile, Jeff Burton, the purple car on the outside.
I would say the evidence is in. They have really improved these cars at California Speedway. A lot of testing over the winter, and it's paid off.
Tremendously better than last year. There's no doubt about it.
You know, that's an interesting configuration. They've pulled that a number of times now. Not with 2 lines close together, but pretty widely separated going into 3.
Labonte's not caught on the outside, but he tries to come back. He moves up on the outside of LaJoie. Meanwhile, battle for the lead.
Mark Martin takes a look at Jeff Gordon. Down the backstretch into 3. Looking off the back of Gordon's car. Mark Martin got the corner on him. And Gordon has to drop into second place. Mark Martin picks up the lead. Our 4th leader of the day. And here comes Unser Jr.
Jeff Gordon got a little bit high, lost some momentum off the corner, lost 2 spots. Meanwhile, Earnhardt pulls in behind Jeff Gordon, tries to go to the inside. Labonte dives to the inside of Earnhardt.
So quick move by Labonte. Earnhardt answers though, stays right behind Jeff Gordon. Mark Martin, Al Unser Jr., Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, Terry Labonte. That's the top of the run at California Speedway. Round number 2 of the International Race of Champions. Welcome back to California Speedway, round 2 of the International Race of Champions. Nothing has changed. Mark Martin in the white car is the leader. Al Unser Jr. in second, and to ride with Jeff Gordon. The fight at the moment is right here at the front of the field.
See Martin pull down to the inside to avoid Unser getting the draft off the back of his Firebird. Now he goes back up to the high side to get his better angle into the corner.
Look how stable they look compared to some years where they really popped all over the place. They're pinned to this track.
They are. These cars are really, really good. The test drivers saw that trickle, and Dave Martins have done a terrific job of getting these cars set up. Now, these cars will start, the chassis will start changing as they run laps, start using fuel. Then they will start to take up a little bit of push off the corner. And then the driver's got to change your lines just a little bit to avoid pushing off the corner, letting other cars get under you.
As they come down the front here, look at the flags because the wind has picked up considerably, and that too affects the handling.
It does. Going in the corner, as you turn into the corner, hear that wind blowing. We'll try to get these cars a little bit loose. Now, as you try to turn to get off the corner, that wind wants to blow the car up the racetrack and make it what we call push.
Then we talk about these cars as equal and matched, but there's also the suggestion that every race car has its own personality.
Oh, they do. There's no doubt about it. You know, you can, all 12 of these cars, they try their best to make these cars as even as possible, but yet they've got to change springs, different shocks on different cars, because when the test drivers go out, the 12 cars do not react. One car will not react like the other 11.
So every time these drivers climb into the cars, they are cars that they have not driven, they have not practiced in. All they've done is put their seat in that car. When the green flag comes out, that's the first time that they're really shaking hands with the personality of that race car.
Yes, and evidently Jeff Gordon likes the personality of that red car. He's in 3rd spot. He started back in 12th spot. He has led the race. He's driving down to the inside. Jeff Burton took a look on the inside.
Everybody looking for an opportunity to move. Here's Jack.
Guys, one of the few areas where the individual drivers can make adjustments is in the driver comfort area, specifically in the seat and the headrest. So what did Jeff Gordon do prior to today's race? He recruited Ray Evernham, his crew chief, to come over and outfit his car with a very special headrest. Now the headrest is built up from this material here, which is a slow rebound foam rubber that's used in IndyCar competition for the headrest area. They introduced it to Jeff's headrest for safety.
Well, Jack, the order remains unchanged on the race course. Mark Martin pulling away a little bit more. Here comes Jeff Gordon beginning to work on the back of Al Unser Jr. Burton is sitting right there watching, but again, no result. A lot of work feeling one another out, though. Now Burton tries to look for position on Jeff Gordon. Gordon closes. And Mark Martin is beginning to inch away from the field now. Coming to the halfway point here. As again they split off the corner. Running for the line. No change in the order. 50 miles complete. The half distance in round 2 of the International Race of Champions. And Mark Martin is racking up the points and possibly looking at a victory. Back at California Speedway, the International Race of Champions, we're beginning to get some action back between Burton and Jeff Gordon. It's a battle for 3rd place. Jeff Burton now tries to make a move on Jeff Gordon. Remember, these two guys started way back in the back of the field, but now they are battling for 3rd place. Burton has it right now. Here comes Jeff Gordon, heading into 3.
Jeff Burton has Terry Labonte. Jeff Gordon has Randy LaJoy.
So it's some tough party in that battle back. Mark Martin continues to lead it, followed by Al Unser Jr. Then the battle revolves around 3rd place. And right now, it's almost anybody's fight.
And Jeff Burton and Randy LaJoy side by side. Jeff Burton, remember he spun earlier? Went to the pits. Oh! Oh, and he gets loose off the corner, and Tony Stewart goes by.
Tony Stewart ducks underneath, grabs the position. Here comes Labonte on the outside of Stewart. All this working around third place now.
When the race car pulls up right behind another race car, it takes the air off that rear spoiler on that car in front, and that's why we're seeing these cars get loose. Air leaves that rear spoiler.
Hunter Jr. inching up on Mark Martin now. Then Gordon, then LaJoie, then Terry Labonte. Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett, Jeff Burton fell all the way back to ninth with that exchange.
I think right now Alonso Jr. is trying his best to help Mark Martin drive away. They have about a half-second advantage on the third-place car, Jeff Gordon. They want to get as far away from him as possible. And the last lap, the last couple of laps, they can decide among themselves who's going to run first, who's going to run second. But if they don't work together, the rest of those cars might be able to catch them.
.7 miles an hour. Hendrick's drivers are looking pretty good in this run, aren't they?
They sure are. By now, Rick Hendrick drivers running in third, fourth, and fifth spot.
Battle still at the front of the field. Mark Martin, Alonso Jr. watching him very carefully. 31 laps complete, 50 the scheduled distance. 4 different leaders. Mark Martin has led the most, completed 18 laps at the front of the field. Jeff Gordon also led, so did Al Unser Jr. and Randy LaJoie. Unser Jr., the Cart FedEx Championship team.
On the line one more time. Jeff Gordon closed up 1/10 of a second. To these cars, then he ought to be able to pick up the speed a little bit more because he'll be able to ride in the wake or the draft of these two cars in front of him.
Well, I find it interesting if you look at the comparison of the speeds that they've run. Fastest lap has been turned by Jeff Burton at 164.5 miles an hour. Second quickest was Earnhardt. You've got to go way, way down on the list to find Mark Martin's leading off his fastest lap at 163.5 miles an hour. Full mile an hour off the fastest lap set by Jeff Burton. Welcome back to round number 2 of the International Race of Champions from California Speedway. No change at the top of the order. Al Unser Jr. is following Mark Martin. Third place is Jeff Gordon. LaJoie now sits in fourth. Al Unser Jr. left fourth. You look back, you can see there comes Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett. Jimmy Vassar as they take up some distance now behind this battle for the lead. And the battle for the lead, though, looks like it's going to go to the line as 6 different cars easily within reach of the front spot.
Yes, they are. It's Gordon just cannot close up on the backup Unser. It's like when he gets up there close, he starts losing the air on the nose of his car. He starts pushing and cannot close up on Al Unser Jr.
40 of the 50 laps complete now. 10 to go. At California Speedway, Mark Martin steadily out in front.
Dale Jarrett called Dale Earnhardt. Jimmy Vassar, those cars running back together. About 4.5 seconds behind the leader.
If you're looking for Tommy Kendall, there he is, still struggling, keeping the car in the show. Ari Leyendyk is in the same situation. They were involved in an incident early on. Ari went left when he probably should have gone right, and he caught Tommy Kendall. Most serious damage to Kendall, though obviously Ari Leyendyk didn't benefit any from the contact as well.
Two changes in the first 5 cars, first 6 cars actually. There they are, nose to tail.
Last several laps they've been clicking off at 162.5 miles an hour. And of course, the way they're lined up, that's the speed they're all doing at the front.
And every one of these guys is right now trying to figure out, now, what do I, is there something that I can, am I missing something here? What can I do to pass the car in front of me? If I'm 6th, I want to be fifth. The fifth place guy wants to move forward. They all want to move forward. And what can I do to do that? And that's just something I can do. If I can get a little bit higher, run a little bit higher, that didn't seem to work either. But there must be something.
6 cars all looking for the lead as they begin to think about the end game here in the International Race of Champions, round number 2. Back at California Speedway, the order remains unchanged, so now we're beginning to get some movement. And each of these competitors are looking for an opportunity with the checkered flag line not far away. Randy LaJoie now begins to try and work. He comes down low. Look at this, Labonte. Labonte comes even lower, and Labonte comes past LaJoie. LaJoie is caught up by the wall. That could mean trouble as Labonte hooks up with Jeff Gordon. Burton tacks on the back end of Labonte, and LaJoie goes further back. At the meantime, Al Unser Jr. starts to look at Mark Martin. We're getting some action.
Joy tried to get by Jeff Gordon, and he failed. As a matter of fact, he lost 2 spots. He lost a spot to Terry Labonte and to Jeff Burton. So now for LaJoie back in 6th spot. He was here the last time. He tried to get under Jeff Gordon. He lost the momentum, and the other 2 cars were able to pass him down the backstretch.
And as Benny mentioned, it doesn't seem that Jeff Gordon is able to get up and really do battle with the front 2. Now Mark Martin and Al Unser Jr. in the orange car. On the other hand, Al Unser Jr. has been glued there. He's had the opportunity to watch how he affects the handling on Mark Martin's car, and he very definitely can affect it depending on how he places his car.
Yes, he can. For Mark Martin, each time down the straightaway, he moves down. Avoids the other cars, being able to draft on the back of his car.
Mark Martin has been so smart about this series. That's brought him his championships. Just works his way carefully to the front of the field, and once he's there, he stays there. But here comes Al Unser Jr.
He's taking a look. He's going to the inside now. He's diving to the outside.
And Mark Martin goes with him. Martin comes over, blocks Al Unser Jr. Good move by both. That took some energy, but Al Unser Jr. is right back there. Boy, that was sweet.
It was sweet. Once again, Martin dives down to the inside, trying to block those other cars getting the draft. Meanwhile, that move on the backstretch allowed Gordon and the other cars to get just a little bit closer.
3 laps to go now. Al Unser Jr. made one move. Now will he try it again as they come onto the backstretch?
Slow cars up front, but I think Kendall, he will not be a threat.
Now Tommy will see him get out of the way. But look, the rest of the cars, the rest of that group, Gordon, Labonte, Burton, now they've inched up a little bit here. The line will be 2 to go. Kendall stays low on the line as the rest of the field comes past. No factor here.
Al Unser Jr. is going to go in this corner. He's going to let the car drift up in the middle of the corner a little bit higher. Now he's going to try to drive under. Did not work. That's where he's been getting his run.
Labonte was looking to the inside of Jeff Gordon as they came off.
Everything stays the same.
Next time they'll see the white flag. 1 lap to go as they come off of turn 4. Al Unser Jr. still in pursuit, drops it down a little below the line.
Martin says, all I have to do is stay here for 2 more miles, and I will be the winner. Here comes Jeff Burton, Randy LaJoie. That's a battle for the 5th spot. Now, here's Unser once again. He'll go in the corner. He should let it drift up a little bit right in the middle. Try to get him a run off the corner. Try to drive under Mark Martin, but he lost valuable time.
On the final lap, Al Unser Jr. now with really only 1 chance if he can close between turn 3 and 4 and race Mark Martin to the line. Jeff Gordon unchallenged at the moment by Terry Labonte. And then Jeff Burton and Randy LaJoie. Those are the key players, top 6 positions. Here comes Al Unser Jr. Unser Jr. making his move. He comes to the high side. Cuts back in behind Mark Martin.
When he comes down to the line, that will be...
Lines it up, sits there. Mark Martin takes the win. Followed by Al Unser Jr., Jeff Gordon, Terry Labonte, Jeff Burton,
in about the 8th spot.
Garrett comes across the line despite fighting a very serious bout with the flu, just ahead of Jimmy Vasser. So Mark Martin has taken round 2 at the International Race of Champions, California Speedway.
The International Race of Champions on ABC Sports. Brought to you by the legendary Firebird Trans Am from Pontiac and True Value Paint. Great paint from a great store.
All right. Well, Mark Martin scores a victory at California Speedway. A terrific run. And Mark, maybe you said it best when you came into victory lane.
That's the beauty of getting to the front first, man. I tell you what, Junior was awesome there. He was giving me everything I could stand. I didn't know who it was for sure. I thought that was Tony Stewart, but I knew they were giving us all we wanted, but we got up through traffic really good, and I just want to thank everybody, all the folks at IROC, True Value, Pontiac, and all the folks that support this thing. You know, this is a great series, and I love winning.
Let's talk about just a couple of laps to go, and Al Unser Jr. made a move on you, and you slammed the door.
Yeah, you know, we were sitting there in front, and that's what you do. The draft is pretty powerful here on the straightaways. And my car was really good through the corners, but he'd get a run at me on the straightaways, and all I had to do was make sure that I was in his way. When he got a run, he got a couple of runs at me, and he did a great job, make a heck of a race out of it. If I'd have been behind him, I could have never passed him, you know. We got through traffic good, and we got to the lead and sat there.
Well, the order is official now. Al Unser Jr. is the only open wheeler that is able to hold out against the assault by the stock car drivers. Let's go now down to Jack Arute with Al Unser Jr.
Well, there's not much you can do when the door gets slammed not once, not twice, but numerous times.
Well, you know, I guess that's racing in NASCAR. You know, I've watched it for years, and I sure as hell felt it today. You know, it was we had a good run going. You know, and then, you know, the biggest mistake I made was trying the high side on the last lap. I should have tried the high side on a few laps earlier, and I think I'd have pulled it off. But you know, Mark's awful good with those mirrors, and coming off of 4, we actually touched each other, and so, but you know, that's IROC. It's close and dirty, and what can you say? You know, I had a great time today, and Jay and the whole crew gave me a beautiful car to run. It had plenty of power, and I'm just happy with it. You know, I'm really sad that we run second. You know, it seems I just can't win a race for nothing anymore. So.
But Al Unser Jr. is still very much in the fight for the championship, currently lying 4th in points. Mark Martin has the lion's share of those points. The next round of the International Race of Champions is at Michigan Speedway. You'll see coverage July 5th at 5 o'clock Eastern here on ABC Sports. The last round will be held at Indianapolis, the Brickyard. So Mark Martin now has 2 consecutive wins at California Speedway, the only man to win here, and he searches for a 3rd consecutive IROC title. That's a record, and if he makes that title, he'll have 4. But there are still 2 rounds of the International Race of Champions to help determine who, in fact, will be the leader at the end of the battle. Now, let's send you back to our Wide World of Sports studio in New York and your host, Robin Roberts.